Welcome to Spotter Red, where I would like to start doing each week a top 12 rankings NCAA college football. Only the top 12 because I kind of want to start this for next year because next year we all know the college football playoff is changing. It's going to consist of 12 teams. So I think it would be fun just to do a top 12 every week to kind of see what teams would be in that bracket at the end of the season. Now, I do understand that the bracket would be based off of conference championships, some at-larges, but right now, I'm just going to take the rankings that I have. I'm going to throw it in there and just kind of give you a look because everybody knows that it's really easy to see the top four. I mean, it's 1 and 4, 2 and 3. Also, can't stand the way AP does it. They base it off the history of last year, starting with the preseason. It should be right now what the team, the performance, who they've played, so forth. Plus, with the portal, coaching changes, guys going to the NFL, all the different recruitment, it's really impossible to guess who is the team. So that's why you should base it off how they're doing. Now, the preseason you can a little bit, but from then on you could have a fluid top 12. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do the top 12. So let's get started. At number 12, I have Penn State. So Penn State, oh man, they looked so pitiful against Ohio State. That offense was so inept. Allard, he was 18 for 42. 18 for 42. Now, we know that Ohio State's defense, they are a top 10 defense. They are as good as what Penn State. Everybody was talking about Penn State's defense. But, man, Allard was a top 5 overall recruit in the nation. I was expecting a little more from him. Maybe that defense was just showing him too much. And maybe he doesn't have enough weapons around him. But Penn State, they got Michigan in 3 weeks. They're going to have to find some offense. Now, look, Michigan's defense is very good as well. They haven't played anybody yet. I'll get to that later, but Penn State's going to have to find some offense to even have a shot at the college football playoff. So right now, that's who I have at number 12, Penn State. I'm also going to give you a player to watch from each team that you might not have heard of. So for Penn State, it's Daquan Hardy. He's a cornerback. He leads the team in interceptions and 6 pass defense. So look out for number 25. So ranked number 11, I have the Ole Miss Rebels. They have that very solid win against LSU. And they played Tulane early in the season, and Tulane they were ranked 24 at that time, so they actually have 2 top 25 wins. So that's why I have them ahead of Penn State. They didn't play well against Alabama. Alabama is subpar, so to speak, compared to their last 10 years. This was an Alabama team that Ole Miss should have beat, but they just couldn't pull it out. That offense is rolling. Lane Kiffin has their offense going, but they still need to find some defense. The defense is giving up too many yards. But they still have Georgia in a few weeks, so they still have a few big games coming up. And for the player to watch for them, I have John Saunders Jr. He is 3rd on the team in tackles. He actually has 2 picks, and so watch out for that number 5, their safety. So let's go to number 10. So ranked 10th, I have the Oregon State Beavers. They actually have 2 top 25 wins, one against a Cam Rising-less Utah. Looks like Utah's going to shut down Cam Rising. But they actually dominated Utah in that game. They only gave up 198 total yards, and Utah scored, I think, with 4 or 5 minutes left in that game. So they pretty much dominated Utah in that game. Then they jumped all over UCLA this past weekend. Now, UCLA had 3 crucial turnovers, but hey, a win's a win. So Oregon State's looking good. DJ's starting to come around. They've got some bigger games coming up. They still have to play Oregon. You know, that's their in-state rival. So they still have a few games coming up as well. And the guy to look for them is the little wide receiver. He kind of reminds me of Brandon Cooks, but Silas Bolden. Look out for Silas. And I missaid his name. Sorry, it's Silas Bolden. So let's keep on going down. So ranked 9, I actually have Oregon at 9. They only have one top 25 victory, and that was against ranked 19 Colorado. That's when Colorado, at the beginning of the season, had beat TCU. We all know the hype around Colorado. I've changed my mind about Deion. I think he's doing a really good job there. But they were playing very good against Washington. I think Dan Lanning went for too many fourth downs, especially at the end of the first half. I think he should have kicked a field goal. If Bill Belichick has taught us anything, it's always put points on the board. He made a lot of risky moves there. That offense, they're number 1 in the nation as far as yards per game. So that offense can put up some points. But I mean, they got Utah this week. That's the college game day that's their premier matchup this week. They got Utah. They still got to play Oregon State at the end of the regular season, and they got USC coming up too. So Oregon, they're going to have their chance to go back to the Pac-12 championship and maybe meet Washington again and have a shot at beating Washington. I actually think they're a better team. We'll have to see. Washington did get it done, so you have to give them credit. And to watch for Oregon, I like their wide receiver, number 0, Bucky Irving. He actually had 125 yards, 125-plus yards in the last 2 games. So look out for that kid. So at number 8, I have Alabama over Oregon because Alabama does have 2 top 25 wins. Oregon only has that one against Colorado. But Alabama has beat Ole Miss in Tennessee. Man, Tennessee had them dead in the rights in that first half. But good old Nick Saban, he makes some of the best adjustments. They came out and absolutely destroyed Tennessee in the second half. It was a good game until about the middle of the third quarter. And, man, momentum means everything in college football. And Tennessee just couldn't do anything to get that momentum back. Also, if you get a chance, go to YouTube and watch SEC Shorts. They do a lot of good skits. They have a really good skit right now about Alabama's performance this year, of how they're just a second-half team. They also just did a skit about Michigan's sign stealing. It's really good. So if you get a chance, go see that. Also, the guy to look for them, I am from Georgia, so I know a little bit about the high school teams around here. Caleb Downs, who is a Mill Creek alum. Mill Creek's a big program here in Georgia, but he is a defensive back. He's a freshman, and he's leading Alabama in tackles for their defense this year, so look out for number 2. So we'll go on down. Ranked 7, I have the Texas Longhorns. They did beat Alabama, and Alabama just keeps finding ways to win, so that is a big win for them. They also have another top 25 win. Kansas was, I think, 24-23 when they beat Kansas. They actually they laid it on Kansas pretty good. They played Oklahoma very tough. The Red River Showdown, I also like to call it the Red River Shootout sometimes, but that was the game of the year for me. That was a fun back and forth. Both teams played so well. Texas had they had a chance there, and I'll get to Oklahoma later, but that was a great game. As long as Ewers stays healthy, I think Texas can make it back to the Big 12 championship and have a chance to beat Oklahoma if Oklahoma takes care of their business as well. And I hope they do, because that'll be a fun game to watch. Texas is a very good football team, and I think they have a really good shot of making the college football playoff this year. So the team, or the player for them, is Ethan Burke. He is a defensive lineman, number 91. He is from Austin Westlake, a big program in Texas, high school program. He had 3 sacks against the Sooners, so look out for that number 91. So we'll get to number 6. I actually have the Michigan Wolverines. Man, they just haven't played anybody. Are they a good football team? Yes, I think they are a very good football team. They have a top 10 defense. McCarthy's playing well. I think Blake Corum's an underrated running back. I wish they would talk about him some more. Especially he came back for his senior year. He had that injury last year that he's coming back from. But I still think they're a very good football team. They still got to play Penn State, which I think they're going to take care of Penn State like Ohio State did. Penn State's offense, they just can't do enough. And then we have the big game at the end of the regular season with Ohio State. So Michigan's going to have that chance to prove their AP rank of number 2 and get into the college football playoff. And I think it's really just going to come down to that Ohio State-Michigan game. And then at the end of the season, they might have, Iowa got beat, so they might play Wisconsin. Who knows who's going to come out of the other side. But Michigan still has a good chance. And already, the guy I like to talk about, I really like Blake Corum. So look at number 2, their running back. I think he's a good kid, so look out for him. So at number 5, I have my Georgia Bulldogs at number 5. I love my dogs, but they just haven't done enough to prove that number 1 ranking right now. I think they should be at number 5. They only have one top 525 win, and that's against Kentucky. They took care of Kentucky. They put up 51 points on them, and especially after Kentucky had that big game against Florida. But we did lose Bowers, but we still have we have a lot of depth there. We have Delp, he's a good tight end. Our wide receivers are not as well known, but they get the job done. I still think we have a chance. We're about to play the gauntlet of our better teams. We got Florida and the biggest cocktail party this weekend, and then we play Missouri. We still got Tennessee. So we still have some teams that I think will give us a chance to earn that number 1 ranking. But right now, I think we honestly should be right outside the college football playoff at that number 5. So hopefully we'll keep winning and we'll have a shot at another national championship. The guy to watch, there's a kid, he lives about 20 miles north of me. His name is Ladd McConkey. He is a wide receiver, number 84. He's a great kid. I got to meet him. So watch out for Ladd. So let's go to our top 4. At number 4, I have the Washington Huskies. My country accent. The Washington Huskies. They beat a very good Oregon team. I actually thought Oregon should have won that, like I mentioned before, but Penix and the guys got the job done, so they earned that win. They're also going to have that chance to get to the Pac-12 championship, maybe play Oregon again. We'll see. Oregon State is playing good, so if Oregon State finds a way to beat Oregon, they might be playing Oregon State. But this team they're a good football team. They also have their gauntlet, so to speak. They're playing some of the better Pac-12 teams for the rest of the regular season. So they're actually going to be able to have that chance to make it to the college football playoff as well. And for them, their wide receiver that makes Penix's job so much easier is Rome Udunzi. He's really good. He had 8 catches for 128 yards and 2 touchdowns against Oregon. So watch out for Rome. So at number 3, I have the Florida State Seminoles. They have that huge win against LSU in the first game of the season. They took care of business against Duke. Now, Clemson, there's a little asterisk here. Clemson's kicker, with about a minute and a half of that game, Clemson missed that field goal. If Clemson hits that field goal, they held them from moving down the field to try to win the game. So Florida State should give Clemson's kicker a little bit of credit there. But, hey, a win's a win. They went in overtime, and they still took care of business and beat Clemson. They have no more top 25 teams to play unless Miami or Florida comes back in the top 25. That would be the two teams that would have the best shot of dropping back into the top 25. But as of right now, they don't have any top 25 games left. Now, they could meet maybe North Carolina in ACC championship, but now North Carolina got beat by Virginia, so how much is that going to help them out? I still think they've done enough with LSU and Duke and Clemson to make it. And if they take care of Miami and Florida, I think they'll stay in that top four, especially if they win the ACC championship to get to the college football playoff. So the player to watch for them, it's not Keon Coleman, it's not the quarterback Travis, it's actually Kalen DeLoach. He actually leads the team in tackles and sacks, so look out for number 4. So at number 2, I have the Oklahoma Sooners. They beat Texas. Golly, they struggled against Malzahn's UFC Knights this past week, but their defense is playing so much better. This is the best defense I've seen. You got to give Venerables credit. He has got that defense playing really well, and Dylan Gabriel on the offensive side gives them a chance to win any football game. And I will tell you, that pass at the end of the game with Dylan Gabriel staying in the pocket and hitting the wide receiver in the corner left side of the end zone in the corner was a Heisman-like ice in the veins throw. I mean, that was a great play. And I actually have Dylan Gabriel in my top 3 of Heisman picks. He's been playing really well. So Oklahoma's defense is looking better. They have enough offense to beat anybody. So Oklahoma's going to have that chance. They'll probably play Texas again in the Big 12 championship. So we'll have to see. So the guy to watch for them is actually Bob Stoops' son, Drake. He actually leads the team in receptions, and he wears number 12. So watch Stoops' son, Drake Stoops. So at number 1, you'll easily guess it's the Ohio State Buckeyes. They actually have 2 top 10 victories, and that's why I have them at number 1. I know they struggled a little bit, and they won that game at the end of Notre Dame, but that's what good teams do. They drove down, McCord drove the team down, and they got the job done against Notre Dame. And to me, they dominated Penn State. They actually dominated that game. It could have been a 20-6 final. Penn State kind of scored at the end, but that defense is stout. The biggest thing with them, though, is they've got to get Trayvon Henderson back. They've got to get their running back or their running game back into the fold to help McCord a little bit. For them to have a chance against Michigan and to do well in the college football playoff, they've got to find a way to run the ball again. They do have the best player in the nation to me, and that's Marvin Harrison Jr. I actually think he should be at the top of the Heisman candidates. I know they love to pick their quarterbacks. I wish I was in the media so I could vote, because 2 years ago I would have voted for Will Smith, the defensive guy at Alabama, for I think we should look outside of quarterbacks for the Heisman. And I'm going to do a Heisman thing, but that's for later on. But the guy to look out for Ohio State is Cade Stover. He's been making big catches for them. He's their big tight end that wears number 8. So look out for Cade Stover. So that's my top 12. That's my fluid top 12. I want to start doing this each week. But let's take a look at the bracket real quick. So if we look at the bracket on the left-hand side, Ohio State would actually get a bye, and they would play the winner of 8 and 9, which would be Alabama and Oregon. And then if we go down further, lower on the bracket, number 12 Penn State would play number 5 Georgia, and then that winner would go on to play number 4 Washington. On the right-hand side of the bracket, you would have the 3 seed Florida State would play the winner of Ole Miss and Michigan. Ole Miss being 11, Michigan 6. And then if we go further on down, we have the 10 and 7 seeds, which would be Oregon State versus Texas, and that winner would go out to play Oklahoma. And then, of course, the bracket would keep filling in from there, and you would have your top 4. Now, granted, I understand that at the end of the season, and I'll keep doing this, that if whoever wins their conferences are going to have higher seeds maybe. But I still think they're just going to take the top 12, and at the end of the season it would look similar to this. So tell somebody you love them today. Thank you for listening to Spider Red. Later.